Well, hello everybody and welcome. This is Public Eye and my name is Funmi Iyanda. Thank you. Well, soon after the pandemic happened in 2020, it became difficult for many families to take care of basic responsibilities because, of course, people couldn't go to work. In fact, they couldn't leave their homes. The world as we knew it changed. But something else also changed. Suddenly, it would seem there appeared a number of mobile applications offering easy and quick loans to individuals and family. A lot of these loans had no collateral. Of course, many people jumped at the opportunity to be able to meet both basic needs and also other needs. What then transpired was that it became the beginning of nightmares for many people. As people's the loans just started acquiring interest that were not clear at the beginning and led to so many people suffering deep mental health issues and a few cases of suicide. So then, what has happened since then? In the first instance, what really is the problem? What is this big unsolved problems with access to easy capital for living and for building businesses? So in the nature of Public Eye, we are going to be talking today about the loan shark companies, especially the tech companies. We're going to be looking at the whole issue of regulations around them, the jurisdiction, securities, and consumer rights, everything. In essence, who exactly are the people behind these companies? And also, on the part of the people, why do people need the loans? And what really are the alternatives to these companies? All of this after the break.
We have all been in an unplanned financial situation, needing access to funds to pay for education, rent, work opportunities, or sudden medical bills. We have often turned to family and friends rather than banks because of the high interest rates and complexities of getting loans approved. The money lending companies saw an opportunity in the complexities of bank loans and decided to simplify access to loans.
Everybody's broke and they just carry phone and they just get a loan from a loan app and just be like, okay, I'm good, I can chop the money and go, and then they start disturbing you. Those ones, they have problem. Then the bank, that are giving out the loan, I don't know, they have to find a way to like eradicate them from the system, like totally.
And only if there's a default, that's when they get the contacts of the persons who borrows money, so they can use it to track the person. That's why they could send messages to other people.
If perhaps the person refused to pay within the stipulated time, I think they should just send that message to the person, not start to broadcast it, then now like label the person like a fraudster or something like that.
I even fought it was a friend, Seth. I fought the guy, like, well, I even felt like maybe the guy dropped my number for like a guarantor or something, like, you get like. So I was like, why would you do such? And they didn't even ask me or anything. That was like the first time that it happened. I was like, man, then it was not like, no, it's a lie. That's what they used to do. Once they have access to your whatever, they will just start texting people. Felt like it's a normal thing. Now they're not even doing WhatsApp.
There was a surge in the uptake of digital instant loans during this period. People needed all they could lay their hands on to survive. However, like a Faustian bargain, many later realized that they had traded with the wrong people.
Right, welcome back. Public Eye it is. And I have my guest with me already, my first guest with me already. She's brave enough to come forward to tell us her story. I say brave because this is a society where all over the world, it's not just a society, human beings are easily shamed. And shame can be the precursor to many things which can derail a person's life. So the use of shame as a tool by the loan shark companies became something of big issue to us all. So therefore, I'm happy that Omolola is here to at least talk to us, because I know it wasn't easy for you to come forward. So my guest to start with is Omotosho Omolola.
Thank you very much.
How are you?
I'm fine.
You seem shy.
No, I'm not shy.
You're not shy?
Yeah.
So you're just...
That's me.
Tell me what happened with you. You borrowed 8,500, wasn't it?
It's not even, it's 8,000 naira I borrowed. It happened like this. I'm a working class lady. I earn a salary every month. But you know, a situation will happen that you need a support because I'm a single parent. I have 2 kids. So that I need to take care of. So that time I was in a situation whereby I need a certain amount of money to fix something at that period of time, and I don't have anyone to turn to. It's only my mommy that I can call. My mommy is dead. Who will I now call now? So let me try it. So it's a particular loan name like that, Soko lending or Soko loan. I can't remember. It's something like that. So I tried to log in. They were asking me to grant them some permission on my phone because I needed that money that period. So I had to just be accepting and they are agreeing to allow everything. Anything they ask me, allow, I will press allow, I will press allow. So they asked me to on my camera. I was with my nightgown. So they asked me to on my camera. There's nobody to talk to. I mean, I'm wearing a nightgown. And they gave me a particular time that I will have to do that so that the thing will not go again. So I just snapped myself. They snapped me. They said I should turn like this. I should turn like this. So they granted me that loan for 1 week. So my expectation is that before that due date, I will pay. Because I have money that I'm expecting. So the guy called me. As the guy called me, I'm like, who is this person? Maybe he's one of my clients. I said, okay. I picked. He said, madam, you borrow money from my app. Your money is due today. I said, yes. I said, sir, I'm in a meeting. When I'm done with my meeting, I will pay the money. He said, no, I'll give you till 9:30. If you don't pay my money by 9:30, I'll call you again. I said, don't call me. I'll be in this meeting till 1 o'clock. It's a 2-section meeting. I'll stop by 10 and I'll start another one by 11:30 and it will end by 1. Please don't call me. I will pay your money today. I will transfer. He said, don't transfer it. Don't transfer it. Go and pay. I will send an account number to you. Go and pay it there. I said, I can't leave my office now.
Was it a Nigerian voice?
Yes. It's Monday morning. I can't leave my office. I used to be in a meeting. He said, madam, like all these Igbo guys, said, madam, don't talk to me like that. I've told you my own. Just called the phone. I didn't even, but I just dropped my phone. I go ahead with my meeting. Somebody just called me. Omolola, what is this? What is this? What kind of message are you sending to me? Who did you give my number to? I'm not like, give your number to. Somebody again sent me a message. Omolola, check your phone, check your phone. I said, what's wrong with my phone? Open your WhatsApp. I open my WhatsApp. The person just sent me a screenshot of a message sent to him with my picture in my nightwear.
Your nice gown.
After like 5 minutes, another person kept on calling me. My colleague started looking for me. Omolola, where are you? What is this? What is this? Somebody called me from Owerri. People were calling me from abroad. Hey, I'm like, how many people will have received this message? I'm like, what have I done? What is this? My hand was cold. My boss now came. He said, Omolola, what is this? I said, sir, I borrowed money. He said, why? Why would you do that? I said, sir, people do it now. Can't I do it? Is it not something that everybody do? I can borrow and I pay. And he said, when did the money expire? I said, it's today. As today end, I said no. I said I was about to transfer the money, but the money in my account that I can use to transfer is 5,000 naira. So I'm expecting money since 3 days ago, and the money is not coming in. My boss said, how much is it? You
borrowed 8,000.
Yes.
You were supposed to pay back
10,000.
So
yes.
2,000 in 1 week.
Yes.
That is the kind of interest
Yes,
that was on top
that's
of it.
what they put on. They didn't put a particular percentage. Just said you have to pay extra 2,000. They will state it in the app when you click on that particular amount. So they will give you amounts that you will pay for a certain period. So my boss said, how much is the money? He said, take, go and pay the money. I said, ah. The funniest thing is that he gave me an account number. As I got to the counter, I'm already crying. Even the security, he was calling me, still calling, say, madam, have you seen my message? I've not started with you. I'm still going to put your picture on Instagram, on Facebook. I will show you. I told you I've been calling you since morning. Your number is not going. You're telling me you're in a stupid meeting. You will see. I will show you. I will disgrace you. That time, I almost collapsed. It's the security guard at the bank that lead me in. So as I got to the lady, I filled the form, the teller, I put the money. As the woman saw that teller, I said, madam, Soko lending. I said, yes, ma. He said, these people, they nearly take me out of my job. They nearly get me out of my job. What leads you to these people? Why would you go and borrow money from Soko lending? I said, I did not know it's Soko lending. It's easy credit, a busy, whatever that pump up on my phone. I did not know. Help me. She said,
the name for the account is
different from the
name
app
on the
that
app.
pump up. So the woman I said, you can't pay the money here. You will go and pay it on POS. I now called the man back there, sir. I'm at the bank. He said, go and pay at the POS. I'm waiting for you. Don't tell me rubbish. I didn't even know my boss and my people are already calling in. I went to Kappa, look for POS. I paid the money. The man gave me the teller. I snapped it and sent it to him. On the number he's using to call me, I added him on that WhatsApp. I saw his picture, I saw his face. And I said, madam, I don't owe you anything again. I said, what about the message that you have distributed to people, that you have sent out on my name? What about that name? Because the way you label me now, you label me as a fraudster, as a scammer, as a thief that I've done away with company money. So people will be like, maybe it's a huge amount of money I borrowed or I took away. And what about my people, my parents, my father, my sisters, my children? What about them? What do you want to do about this? He said, madam, I'm done with you. I don't have any business with you again. So if you want to apply again, you can apply. I say, I say, well done. Thank you. Just off my phone. I'm not like, how will I even enter my office? I ran to the reception. I went to the waiting room. I sat down there. I put my head on the table. I was just crying. My boss is waiting for me to come and give him what he asked for me. He now said, Omolola, why are you crying? I said, sir, what do you want me to do now? My family, my sister was cursing me on the phone. Lola, why did you have to go and do this? Why did you do this? They didn't even put only your name. They put your picture. They can say, okay, anybody can be Omolola, Omotosho. What about your picture? Why would you go to that extent of putting your picture because of 8,000? I said, oh, I don't even know. Maybe it's a AD. Maybe they can't say spell on me to go and borrow money online. Oh, 8,000 naira. Because of 8,000, I can dash people anyhow. In my life, I'm finished. Oh, Tony said, you see what you have caused now. We were even calling the man. He was even telling us that he will still do more if he did not pay the money. I don't even know, maybe people have even transferred money to him that he denied.
What happened after that? What was it like? How did you recover?
There is a particular person that was dear to me. The person now called me that, Omolola, why would you do this? I need to know the name of this company. I need to know. I said, I don't know them. We now went to Google Play. I started searching. I later saw Niger Cash. I saw the address of the Niger Cash at Admiralty Way. I copied their mail. I sent that screenshot of the message they sent on my name. I sent the copy of the teller that I used to pay the money. I sent a voice note. The guy now called me back. The owner of the, I don't know, maybe a particular person in that Niger Cash now called me back that, madam, this person is not working under our company. Maybe they are part of the people that have worked with us before. They know the rudiments of this business. They now started to go and do their own on their own.
Wow.
When they
so
left,
that's a third party.
like maybe the person has worked in that firm before,
I understand.
so he's no more working there because he has the idea, so he decided to be doing it on his own, using the company's name to cover up, because he's giving me something on the app, something credit, but when I want to pay, it's Soko lending. He said I should pay the money too, and they don't have an account with a bank.
I wanted to ask, you know, because you are a salaried worker, that did the bank that you are getting your salary through, because your salary will come every month, so they can see that you always get money.
Yes.
So they can see you are credit worthy, so at least, because it's such a small amount of money. Have you ever been able to get money from the bank that you get your salary from?
No.
They've never offered you anything?
No.
I wanted to tell you some things. Okay. Number one, woman to woman.
Yes, ma'am.
Also as a single parent.
Yes,
I don't like the word single mother because there can be single fathers. You know, there are different circumstances in which people can be stuck, not even stuck, have their own. You can actually choose to have your child by yourself. People are doing it.
Yes.
You know, there are people who are same sex who are having to have children. There are all kinds of things happening in the world. Now, the world has changed. You know, so it's important to not stigmatize women in that way. You know what they say? America gon get gbese. America gon o je gbese.
Nigeria not je
Nigeria gon je babanla gbese.
Yeah.
In fact, gbese laughing run.
Yes.
I'm sorry for those who don't understand. I'm trying to say that because to borrow money is not something to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully one is not borrowing money for essentials. You know, God will not let us be in a place where we are needing to borrow money for essentials. You can borrow money for different reasons. This is supposed to be a standard thing, you know, and there should be procedures, you know, and processes for being able to get the money back. Even if you didn't have the money to pay at that time, there should have been moratorium and things and all of that that needs to happen. Even the money that Nigeria is owing, Nigeria, Papa, they reschedule debts. America, Papa, they reschedule debts. On the surface of it, you are dealing with it well. Some people did not deal with it well at all. We are thankful that you had the kind of office where they provided good support, because some places might have fired you.
Yes.
You know? Also, the other kind of support that you've got, and also your son, who's also been there for you. But, you know, going forward, what would you do differently, one? And what would you say to other people?
Going forward, I learned to cut some things off from my financial level. Like, I'm like, maybe there are some things that I'm doing that is affecting my finances that led me to this. So I had to cut some things off to maintain my finances to last me till the time that my salary will come in. That I will not find myself in that condition again.
Omolola, thank you very much for coming and sharing your story with us. Once again, I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm also very impressed that you have taken it, you know, and used it to actually improve things for yourself, one way or the other. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're going to take a break so that, you know, you two, you sit down and listen, because I'm going to ask the experts in different areas, you know, in terms of, so that people, number one, know what to do in future, who to go to, what your rights are, what the opportunities are, just so that we know all of those things. Because even when you cut your coat according to your size, sometimes you do need support, you know, and how to access that in a good way that will not cause undue damage to you as a person. Right after the break. Right, welcome back. It's Public Eye, and our conversation today is around the loan applications, the loan shark applications. Let me put that in a different way, because I keep saying loan shark as though they were not those that are actually giving proper loans. So we're basically just talking about the issue with using tech to access loan and financial services that are available to people and what the rights and responsibilities are thereof. I have the experts in the house with me because we've already spoken to somebody who came forward and told us her story. I know that a lot of you at home have had other kinds of interactions with this issue. I'm going to start with the gentleman directly across from me on my right-hand side because he's the hound dog, one hounding them, for this particular issue, and that's Mr. Babatunde Irukera. Mr. Irukera is Executive Vice Chairman of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. That's FCCPC, a bit of a mouthful, but you need to remember that, because they are the ones who are charged with the responsibility of managing on a daily basis, the leadership of the commission, that's him, and their mandate is to promote market competition, protect consumers, and secure remedies when consumer rights are violated. Good to have you, Mr. Irukera.
Thank you.
Sat there beside him is somebody who went to my school, so I have a bit of nepotism or parapol going on there, and that's Dr. Adedeji Oyenuga. Very good for his real answers. Dr. Oyenuga's focus is on criminology, social problems, deviant behavior, and critical cybernetics. And finally, also, is Mr. Adeola Ojo Ogunbodede. So Mr. Ogunbodede is a financial expert and is an analyst with vast years of experience in accessing, analyzing businesses, finance products, and their multiplier effects on the business environment. That's a lot of grammar, but basically, he knows what financial services are what, which should do what, and how you should access it. That's how the rest of us should understand that. Good for you to be here amongst us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm going to have to start with you, Mr. Irukera. How can this even happen in the first instance?
Well, I mean, soft lending is not uncommon. Mm-hmm. It's not new. Mm-hmm. It has a long history globally. For instance, even in the West, you've got your credit card, mm-hmm. which is typically unsecured lending. Mm-hmm. So there's some element of risk associated with that, mm-hmm. and potentially higher interest rates. Yeah. Technology has significantly advanced every area of commerce, and perhaps even other areas that are not so much as commerce. And so lending too, to some extent, has become digital. Mm-hmm. And so this is digital lending. Mm-hmm. The other side of it is those who abuse it also, and it's not new also. So whether it's in the US, in the UK, or in other places, people who are characterized as loan sharks mm-hmm. have existed for years. Mm-hmm. Those who lend to the most vulnerable in society. Yeah. Generally people who don't have good credit and don't have collateral and don't have sufficient income, mm-hmm. but need to make a living and get by. And so there's a history of this. But what we've seen in Nigeria, as in other countries also, is what has become really reckless and abusive. Mm-hmm. And the fundamentals that have supported this over the past few years, like you rightly said, is a pandemic. Mm-hmm. And with incomes diminishing, sometimes extinguishing, and needs continue to arise, soft needs, people had to look for where they could get money one way or the other. Mm-hmm. And so it started that way. But as with many of these situations, at the point where it's occurring, it's only the beginning of the episode. Yeah. It's ultimately going to become a problem. And so it became a regulatory issue or even regulatory awareness as the problems started arising.
Yeah, I do know that, of course, that globally, governments are chasing tech in terms of regulation instead of the other way around, because tech happened quickly, and the developments are rapid in terms of what is changing. I feel like, I don't feel like I do know that all over the world it's a challenge, I begin to wonder how much of that challenge we are ready for, especially in Nigeria. And for this sort of thing, it seems like our environment is very ripe for it because, of course, the pandemic made things much worse everywhere in the world. Additionally, here there isn't a big safety net for people during that period. It's not as if there was a big one everywhere, because I don't want to do this thing where we're just lambasting ourselves.
Correct.
This is a global problem. However, we must warehouse it to the Nigerian situation. So I don't know how it seemed much worse here than, I don't know about India or China, but a lot of the Western countries, I don't think it was that worse, only by experience. But now, coming here this morning, I simply Googled loan applications, just loan apps. And I counted how many came up on my first page alone, and there were 56. It's a bombardment. When you, even if it's children playing games online, you are bombarded with God knows how many of these companies. So my first question on a regulatory level is, does anybody know? Is there any way to even stop,
Good question. And so you've captured everything in some sense. And regulating big tech is a global challenge. And Africa is getting into the space. In the past several months, we've opened investigations into large technology companies who manage data. I've repeatedly said, including at Western Fora, that Africa is not going to remain an extraction point as it always has been. Whether it was slavery, crude oil, mineral resources, or agricultural produce, Africa has remained an extraction point throughout the value chain of economies. But data is something that is happening in all our lifetimes, and we're right on the mark at the same time.
I want to go to you, Mr. Ogunbodede, and that's first about the services that are possible in very many parts of at least the Western world. And I suspect for a place like China, or at least other parts of Asia, there are now, services for purchases of essentials, where you can pay maybe, for example, the story we had was she just needed a week. So you could pay over, you can spread the payments over 3 times over a month, for example. And it is unsecured also. And also, there is no interest rates. So basically, you pay back what you get. Why do we not have this?
Basically, in Nigeria, thank God for the way the DG actually, or EC actually mentioned. I think in Nigeria, we have a lot of solutions that have been in place. Some are normal, some are abnormal, and some are within the same setup. So basically, I will not go much into what actually, but with what we have, we know that basically the way things run in Nigeria, we actually have a structure that is within just the banking sector. And most of the things we offer are within that sector. And when it is outside the sector, most of the time it is not regulated. And that's the problem we have actually seen. Because at the point in time, we have so many people who could actually give out loans, who could give you support, from family down to people in your environment, in your locality, where there are sometimes, maybe if you could remember, when we were growing up, there was no IT. Sorry, I'm a small boy, but when we were growing up, there was no tech then, big tech. We could have one babalajo or one big man at one corner who gives out loan, even in the marketplace to people. They go there, they get, after a period, the payback. But later on in time, some other people actually came, the issue of ajo, I collect money from you every day, and at the end of time, maybe at the end of the month, I pay back. Whatever, maybe they can take a loan. Then again, we came up with a solution that we call cooperative. That is, we have a particular set of group of people who come together, they put in resources, and whenever I need support, I go to it, I get my fund, maybe at the end of the month or after 2 or 3 months, I pay back. Sometimes with interest or no interest. All those structures were in place. So by the time they came in, a lot of structure actually came into being, regulation and co. So as a result of that, banking sector actually took up most of those things that were being done around. And thank God, since Soludo left, Sadusi left, and the Governor Emefiele came into being, there have been a level of structure that have made fund available to the people. And that was why we could see some level of things that happened within the structure. Some banks decided to give you 3%, 1.33%, 37% a year so that you can actually access loan. But we actually found out that later on there were some challenges within that same structure. Some people could not access. One, as a result of financial inclusion. Two, as a result of many people even not being able to access. So some other people actually came here, and that was why it was so fast when, after COVID, someone, because before I can come to you when I need money, oh, Auntie Funmi, please give me 10,000 naira to be able to support myself for the next month. You could support. We have that communal kind of relationship. I can call my uncle, call my sister, they will help. But after COVID, even the auntie and uncle you used to call, nothing was forthcoming longer. And what happens? Eventually, we now have to find a way. And thank God, the loan application came in, and people actually embraced it. And they took that challenge because of the regulatory challenges within the economy, which they are just coming up now to address.
And I want to ask you, Dr. Oyenuga, are we just criminals?
Most all of us are primary criminals. Now we become secondary only when we have been caught red-handed. That answers the question. Basically, earlier on you mentioned critical cybernetics. Now this is where the issue of the relationship between human beings and technology comes in. Human beings have always been lazy. For as long as we have lived, we have relied on certain things for survival. When science or when technology became scientific, it gave us opportunities. And some of these opportunities we have abused. And that is what is coming up in the area of loan applications. Now, no regulations, they are everywhere, and then people are taking advantage of them.
Did you say no regulation or low regulation?
I said no regulations. You know, it's very difficult for you to come up with a regulation when you have a social media that cannot be controlled. See, I have the same issue when I'm talking about cybercrime. I talk about cybercrime every time because that is what I've been working on over the years.
That's why in building societies and states, we don't rely on the potentials for good or bad. We rely
the consequence management
system.
Exactly,
and that's what I want to circle around.
We need to build up rules and regulations first. That will, of course, create an ethical background for the existence of that particular thing, and then we build that technology upon it.
Exactly. So that's what I'm coming to now, and I'm glad that both of you are sat beside one another in that regard, because it's a global conversation.
It is.
Is it possible to actually even regulate tech in the ways in the age?
Yes. The regulatory system is such that there is never going to be a point where you have a framework that captures everything, so long as the world keeps evolving. And so there was a regulatory system, but just like he's described the human nature, it's very innovative. And so people would sit down. I'm a lawyer, for instance. I'm a litigator. And so I'd look, when I want to make a case, I look at where the law is clear. And I look at where the law is silent. And it's where it's silent that I'm going to go make my argument. Because then if I'm persuasive, if a judge considers my argument compelling, I've just added to the jurisprudence. And so what we've seen with technology is people who have looked at it and say, there is a demand out there. How can I craft a solution to that? And so regulatory frameworks must continue to chase innovation.
First, I want to focus, therefore, on, immediate consumer protection and rights. Because I know you have been shutting down, at least that's what the news says, that you've been shutting down certain offices, where, the practices have not been, how do you determine which offices to shut? And how effective is this as a measure in it? And what happens to the people who are employed?
Good question. And these are all the things we're grappling with. And so, first, the places we shut down. We had months of intel gathering, tracking and tracing, and we've got complaints. We opened up a dedicated portal for people to pour in their complaints. We ranked the apps and the companies as best as we could. And so we narrowed down to where to go. And that's why, in reality, we actually shut down two or three companies, but we captured 10 apps And so we're strategic, because as a regulator also, you can't catch everything. So you're going to have to go to where you can make the most impact. But the next question, how effective was this? To some extent. But does it have the impact of being able to stop the problem? Absolutely not. Because for the most part, what we're discovering, even with the companies we shut down, and more so with the ones we haven't shut down, is that these are businesses that are online. Some of them, you don't even know where to find the owners. You don't know anything about them. But so, I mean, and as regulators, we know that, look, you just have to keep turning the volume or the heat until you get to the source. And so the next thing we did was we started the bank accounts that we're able to harvest, mostly from the complaints and then from the materials we seized when we shut down some offices. We were able to identify a certain bank account. On the first day that we opened the investigation, we were able to shut down, we were able to freeze half a dozen bank accounts. At this point, we've frozen over 30 because we're gathering more information. Then we engaged App Store and Play Store. Because if you can hold where the money goes or comes from and then stop people from being able to access the app, you're literally pulling them out of the woods, which is what we've done. And when Google was a little slow, we took them on. Now that is happening more quickly. And now they're coming. Everybody whose business is materially affected is coming out of the woods. And I'll say to you, I'm pretty certain as I sit here that the defamatory messages have significantly reduced, even from the ones we haven't reached. In the past weeks, it has significantly reduced. And that's what regulatory intervention does. It also promotes some level of self-regulation. And where we're going is to get to the table where we say digital lending is welcome because they actually fill an important gap for the most vulnerable people. Yep. And it promotes financial inclusion, which are key indicators of economic performance. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so, but it has to be done within certain parameters. For instance, we must know who you are, we must know where you're coming from, and there must be a platform or a mechanism for people to engage when they dispute a loan amount or an interest factor or a place to reconcile. Thirdly, you cannot violate people's privacy. The FCCPC doesn't have the expertise to regulate banks or financial institutions. But in the interim, somebody has to at least fix that space, and we have a joint task force that includes the central bank, AFCC, the ICPC, NITA, so the technology regulator, the financial crimes regulator, the banking regulator. And so ultimately, I think with time, we would find how to rest and where to rest this regulation. And so what the FCCPC is doing is an interim measure to at least stop the problem as best as we can.
Thank you. I mean, I would be interested to see how that goes, because at the end of the day, that sounds almost like strengthening institutions anyway and bringing cooperation, which is necessary.
Absolutely.
However, for the purpose of this show, I'm always very concerned about the average person. If you notice, this targeted a particular sector of the economy, and that is the base of our economy. It's also the base of our future projected growth, because, you know, so I have two issues, and I'd like to address it to both of you first and come back. And that's first, it's how do people become more literate, you know, online, particularly regarding, you know, these financial issues? You know, how do people begin to know, you know, the red flags, what to look for? Because one of the things we notice with those apps is that they're quite intuitive. They have the onboarding system for some of them is like 3 steps. So it's quick. Any child, even a child, can onboard and get something quickly in that regard. So they are quite intuitive and they are quick in that way. How do the people also match up to know? It's like on the street now, you know, even with the loan shark, you know who not to go to. You know the way in your area. How do you know the way in tech? You know, you have, and I have to speak to you in a way that a Nigerian person would easily understand in that way, that who be the way for tech? So that everybody will be like, that one, this company, that way the company, this, when you see this kind of thing, what they do, then they craze for them, don't near it. I really would like for that, you know, for you to help us with that, both of you. You know, yes, I'll start with you.
Okay, thank you very much. When we see an app and then you see that part where we have to read through the policy, you see a long list of things. All of us just go down and then agree.
Yeah.
we all agree at every point in time.
We're not supposed to agree.
We are not supposed to agree.
Yeah, we won't get it.
Because once you
It's
agree...
too long now. Who's going to read all of this?
That's the gimmick behind it.
The one that we don't agree is like, give me access. Anyone that is give me access, I will say no. My default is no access until proven otherwise.
But people always agree because that thing is always long. By the time FCC, I don't know the long one, come up with these rules, it's going to be integrated into the body of the loan policy. We might still not read. So there has to be a public awareness. We need to let people know that on issues like that, very sensitive loan taking, they need to read the policy. For example, someone like me will rather rely on my cooperative than to even go to the bank. Bank loans are not good for people too. I say this every time because my bank is always calling me, and then I tell them that even if you use juju on me, I'm not going to attend to you. I have cases here. There's a case of a boy who is an addict. He took a loan from these apps. In the end, I got a message from these apps telling me that this particular boy is owing them a certain amount of money. The parent paid. 1 week later, he borrowed from another source. And then the parent paid again. In the end, the parent had to seize the phone from him. I also have a case of someone who deliberately borrowed from them and traveled out of the country. Now, this is even from a structured loan application. He signed the agreement. He read through the agreement. He was told that they have sent letters to all embassies. It's not going to be issued any visa for him to travel out of the country. He got the money and traveled out of the country. He probably had a visa before he got the money. He left. So some of them are losing.
Yeah.
So basically, we need to educate people. We are not just going to come to the TV and say it once. We also need it to come up. Just as the loans are coming up, the loans are the awareness should also come up like a pop-up. Let people know, let people learn from other people's experiences, and that way they will know the things to do or the things to consider when they want to take loans.
So that's why this show is called Public Eye, because we advocate for most of the people. And most of the people, these are cases, this happens in Yahoo Boy, because if we're going to talk about that, the biggest defaulters to banks, institutions in the country are some of the most richest and powerful people in the country. However, our interest is how do we galvanize the base of Nigeria so that we can actually get economic progress and loans and access, not even loans, access to credit, access to capital makes a big difference. And so for Public Eye, for example, it's important, I completely agree with you, this continuous education. So my child will, for example, ask later on of Mr. Irukera if we are also including something like the National Orientation Agency. You know, because at the end of the day, I couldn't make that because the TV stations would charge me money to put the adverts there. So that should be something done automatically too, because it is now public interest, that sort of thing. But I wanted to understand what financial services and products are actually available, how to access them, and how to know which ones to run with.
Most of the time, these loan apps decided to go to the extreme. Why? Because our people are not paying. So when you are trying now to look at all these things they are supposed to follow, then the next thing that should come into be, how do they get their money back? For a Yahoo boy, that his intention is to come collect money and flex. Or for someone who is a drug addict who collects money and with that intention of payment, how do I get my money back? And I think that also was the area where the CBN and all the necessary people that I mentioned should also come in. Because these people collect our BVN. Then what do? If there is a way, I'm trying to suggest that maybe it's a question you can actually, if there is a way our BVN can be put in such a way that these people can easily have their money back.
Exactly, because this is where I was coming to, the issue of the BVN, where we already have, everybody is meant to have a BVN. But actually, let me let you finish. I apologize. Finish what you were saying.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Most of us actually go for things that pay easily. So these loan apps saw that, 30%, 300% on a loan for 7 days. Some of them actually got in. That was one of the reasons that came into the issue of that lady who was saying by the time she was doing a check, She found out that even the person that gave her the loan was not in the mainstream of even so-called lending. It was only using that platform to give loan out. So that people can actually take that opportunity. So that comes in. Then what are the opportunities that are available to everybody? Like I said, CBN from day one have made this platform, and that was why CBN governor is talking every day, do not go to loan sharks, go to banks. Yeah, banks have said they want to give this, but let me just tell you this. Before he's coming to power, I'm not speaking for the governor of CBN, but some of the things he actually did are the things I want to mention here. Before he came in to become the CBN governor, some of the things that were in place where you cannot access loan as an individual unless you have either collateral, you have this. All those things were removed in such a way that you could easily go to your bank and talk to them, then you get your loan. Even to the level that some of them, just what these loan sharks are doing, were the things they were doing. They look at your what? They look at what has been coming to your account. They give you a particular amount. And for example, a bank like GT or Access Bank will look at your profile, and they can give you up to 12 months of your what? Of salary.
And they simply just take it from your
And they just
account,
simply take it from your salary when the salary comes in. It's easy. But not everyone has this opportunity. Then, apart from those ones, we still have, within the same setting, we have some finance houses that are still willing to give loans.
Right.
So what you need to do is access them online. They look at your profile. So far, your profile is good. Because BVN coming into play has made access to fund easy. What they only need to is collect your BVN. With your BVN and with credit bureau, they could actually locate you and know what your worth is. So it has actually helped. And ability to even pay anyhow, anywhere, is also another. So we have opportunity to access a whole lot of things. But the only thing is the most vulnerable people, that is those who collect less than 10,000, 15,000, 50,000 a month, who need this money, are not, most of them are not bankable, are not in the banking sector. They cannot access this thing, and most of the time, the banking sector will not even give loan or this credit to people who earn less than 50,000.
All right, I'm going to take a break because, well, there are people in the audience and they want to ask questions. But one of our challenge is how to convert what already works into the formal banking sector. Could there be, going forward, a way where the so-called unbankable or unbanked or poorly banked, could actually be, taken into the system so they can begin to build some sort of identity, credit identity or financial identity that would make it possible for them to access better loans? We need to take a break. Who wants to go?
Okay, so my question goes this: how are we going to know the real source to give our BVN to?
Good question.
Very good question.
Lending value chain requires some information, and he spot on said, look, the banks have an advantage, and so how can money lenders, digital lenders, just put money out without some clarity? This is unsecured lending. And every time what people are doing is a mixture of revenue management and risk assessment when you're in unsecured lending. But what I disagree with are the methods of collection. Because whether it's in the US or in the UK, people want to scam the system too. People want to borrow money without returning it. That's why, but it becomes more difficult once you're not credit worthy. You must at least be willing to part or waive some level of privacy with respect to your unique identifier, which in the US is your social security number, in the UK it's your national insurance number, in Nigeria it's your BVN or your NIN. And so you must, as a part of an agreement, is that you sign off to the potential lender the power for them to profile you, check with the credit bureau and see your whether you're credit worthy or not.
Okay, I was at a studio with a friend and they were talking about some stuff because they were speaking Yoruba and they thought I don't understand Yoruba. And one of them said that what he does is he borrows money from this loan app, and after borrowing the money, like, he gets his friend's number, like some of his friends, his old friend's number, and he used them as his brother his uncle, his cousins from like somewhere, and after borrowing the money, he would just break his SIM. So now, how can you track him? Since I think nobody can actually find him, but how can you track him, sir, to stop it?
Now, with the new structure, it's impossible to do whatever that person did before. There will always be money lenders online. Many people migrated online because of the opportunities. We also need to know that we still have some people that are doing it offline. Those traditional people are still existing. Microfinance banks, or they write LAPO, L-A-P-O, they are still existing, and they don't need an app for this. You know, you get my point? So basically, there will, the short thing is there will always be crime.
Yeah.
But then we must come up with a structure that will reduce the excesses.
Actually, one of the reasons we do public eye is I think we believed that for political reasons and other kinds of reasons, there's a big gap between people, governors, and different kinds of people. So even what is existing, we don't know, and we don't use, and we don't challenge, and we don't grow as much as we can. You know, and this is an opportunity to be able to do that. So I'm going to address you, because at the end of the show, we do ask anyone who comes from an institution to tell us what is next and promise us when they think they will deliver that which is next. So we can report back if it is done or not. And we won't tell you when we come to check whether it is done. So regarding this topic, what can people take away as a promise for you, from you, that your organization is on top of, and within a particular time they can see a result?
Good, thank you. So with respect to digital lending, I can say that there's been some respite about the collection practices. But beyond that is I am assuring Nigerians that we will regulate this space. We will bring it under control, and it's not going to be in a matter of years. I have absolutely no questions in my mind that we're on the cusp of sorting this out and that others are going to learn from us.
Right. That's fantastic to hear. So what is an index? I want to ask for indices. One index I can hold on to and say, yeah, that's number one. They're already on it.
That those defamatory messages will stop.
Right.
One. Sooner than later, you would see that the interest calculation or loan balance calculations are more reasonable. Those two things.
Right. Within how long?
The defamatory messages are stopping. I'll be surprised if in the next 90 days any occurs from the key industry players. There would always be those in the fringes. But as far as the intensity and dominance of defamatory messages, I'll be surprised. It will be few and isolated within the next 90 days, maximum.
All right. Thank you. And that's our conversation for today. As I said, this conversation continues. So when you watch the show, you can reach us on any of our handles, any of the different platforms, whether it's Twitter, it is Instagram, it is TikTok, it is whatever it is, Facebook, depending on which part, if you're a dinosaur or if you're an oncoming person, because we don't know what social app will take over next. But whichever one will be there, you know, to keep track on what's going on. Our desire at the end of the day is that we have a more cohesive society. So I thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again. Bye-bye.